So Sony wants to add PlayStation to Xbox, but Xbox isn't having that. PlayStation is afraid that Xbox wants to make them more like Nintendo. The Xbox Winter Demo event, we'll be talking about that, and Cyberpunk 2077's sequel is apparently on the way. What's going on, you guys? It's your Huggable Hipster here, and welcome back to The Casual Nerd. We're talking about 4 articles, and the fact that I could get that in one intro, holy Happy Monday, you guys. Happy best day of the week. I hope you guys are having a good one. Cheers. Let's get this gluten-free bread. So up first to gaming news, Sony wants to add PlayStation Plus to Xbox, but Microsoft won't let them. Let's dive into this first one. So it states here in the article that the battle between Sony and Microsoft continues. Oh, you thought the so-called console wars was over? Apparently not. Sony and Microsoft have been bickering over anything and everything since Microsoft announced its intention to acquire Activision as part of a $69 billion deal. The main issue is that Sony doesn't want Call of Duty to become an Xbox exclusive. In recent weeks, Xbox's Phil Spencer reassured the PlayStation that it retained access to COD, with one report suggesting that PlayStation had been offered a 10-year deal after the franchise would indeed become an Xbox exclusive. While the problem still isn't resolved now, and the duo are arguing over PlayStation Plus and Game Pass. The key thing in this section of the article that I read was the acquisition. This is all because of the acquisition. We've seen exclusivities of where it's kind of the opposite, where we had Deathloop, for example, become a PC and PlayStation exclusive and then go over to Game Pass. So we're kind of seeing this whole dramatic thing happen with COD because PlayStation doesn't want to lose COD to Xbox. While that's fair, I really honestly don't think that it's going to end well for players, because the fact of the matter is exclusivities, they're good in some cases, but terrible in other instances. For example, when you have an indie studio that can only afford to be on one platform, i.e. either Nintendo or PlayStation, or even just on Game Pass on Microsoft, you have this kind of battle of the what's right for the moment, or what's right for the developer or publisher at the time. Because let's be honest, there are indie studios right now that can only be on one platform. While these aren't indie studios by any means, we still have the issue of, does COD actually, this is a terrible way to say this, but does COD actually deserve to be a single platform exclusive? Is it that good? I can see why Bloodborne is a single platform exclusive. I can see that completely why. It's incredibly good. It is worth getting a PlayStation for, but is COD really worth getting an Xbox for? It's the same way that you could ask Halo fans, is Halo worth just getting the Xbox for that game? This is something that we have to dive into, and it's something that we really have to mull over, because when we think about the complexities of which this involves, because there's so much to this, even there are other companies questioning, do we really want to allow Microsoft to acquire Activision for $69 billion? I keep having to reread that number because I actually don't think it's like a logical number to be acquiring a company for, but there it is, $69 billion over and over again. So next up in gaming news, kind of in the same breath, PlayStation is afraid that Xbox wants to make them more like Nintendo, which this was interesting when I read this article. In quote, it states, Microsoft claims that Nintendo's differentiated model demonstrates that PlayStation does not need Call of Duty to compete effectively, but reveals Microsoft's true strategy. Microsoft wants PlayStation to become like Nintendo so that it would be a less close and less effective competitor to Xbox. Let me reread that again. Microsoft wants PlayStation to be like Nintendo so that it would be a less close and less effective competitor to Xbox. Now, what I'm about to say, I'm going to sound like such a pony, but you cannot compete with what PlayStation has to offer. I'm sorry, you can't. There is a lot of single player incredible games that for the first time I played last year. As you guys know, last year was the first time I ever, I joined the PlayStation family. I got to play The Last of Us Part 1 and 2. I got to play Bloodborne. I got to play so many incredible games. I got to play the Uncharted games for the first time this year. I got to play so many incredible titles. God of War 2018 and now God of War Ragnarok. It is amazing what PlayStation's titles have to offer. And right now, unfortunately, as much as I love Xbox, they're really not bringing anything to the table besides Redfall. It's really sad, because at an earlier point of a few years ago, I would have said that Xbox is bringing the most to the table, which was true. They used to be the company that brought the most to the table in terms of value and in terms of what they could offer the player right now. Besides promising a lot, they're really not doing much. And with PlayStation, I feel like they're not only offering more bang for your buck when it comes to PlayStation Plus, but they're offering the best in terms of their games and what they can offer players at the time, because players are going to go where the most is offered. And right now, that company is PlayStation that is offering the most, not Xbox. People are going to migrate and people are going to go where the offers are and where things are thriving and where things are going. But whenever we just have to look at things objectively, that's it. It's not a matter of hating Xbox or hating the PS5 or hating Nintendo or Activision or whatever company it is. It's just going where the profit is. We're going where the products are. We're going where the results are, mainly, primarily. So yeah, I mean, like, I know my comment section is gonna probably get riddled with people being like, Xbox, PlayStation. It's not about the console wars. Let's be really very, very clear on this for a second. This is not about the console wars. This is about going where the products will serve the player the best. This could be Xbox next year. This could be Nintendo the following year. Every platform is going to have their growth period and their down period. For right now, the down period lies with Xbox. And you guys know I love my Xbox. I love my PlayStation. I love my PC. I love the gear that I have. And again, I want to reiterate just for people who might not understand tangibly that you can think objectively and criticize your favorite companies constructively. The thing is that we have to keep in mind as consumers, as content creators, as people who buy these games, as people who review these games, we can constructively criticize these companies while still being open and still liking their content. That's what we do. Like, I can criticize Fallout New Vegas, but I can still enjoy it at the same time. I can criticize Cyberpunk 2077 and still say that it is one of the best games that I ever played. It's one of those balancing acts that you kind of have to do and think logistically while understanding that not everything needs to be coated with rose colors. So let's move on before I get winded and just keep on rambling. So next up in gaming news, Cyberpunk 2077 sequel release date hinted at, which I can already see the neon colored messages that CD Projekt Red is going to send out. But states here in the article that CD Projekt Red shed a light on when the sequel to Cyberpunk 2077 will release. While Cyberpunk 2077 had one of the messiest launches of all time, many are starting to see that underneath all of the bugs and performance issues that plagued some versions of the game's launch is a very solid open-world RPG. Which is why so many are still flocking to it in 2022. Combine this with its commercial success and all the resources that were spent in realizing the new IP, and a sequel was always given. And a sequel is exactly what we are getting, but not anytime soon. It continues on stating that obviously CD Projekt Red isn't talking about the sequel's release date or even directly hinting at it, but it's indirectly hinting at it. The Polish game maker recently confirmed it's starting its pre-production on the sequel after Phantom Liberty expansion releases in 2023. If this sounds familiar, it's because pre-production of Cyberpunk 2077 began after The Witcher 3's expansion Blood and Wine, which a lot of you will kind of get the pattern sequencing and everything like that of events. Once one company does one thing, another thing is directly followed. It's just a pattern that a lot of companies follow. Doing some quick math, this new timeline would suggest that Cyberpunk 2077 sequel will be out in 2027. That's assuming development schedules repeat. That said, sometime between 2026 and 2028 seems like it's a safer, broader bet. You know, it's going to be interesting. I was about to say it should probably be delayed until 2030, but that's just me. What if they actually come out with another game, but it's actually released in 2077? Think about that. Think about what we're probably going to be in like our 50s maybe when a game like that would be released. I don't know. That's just crazy to think about. 2077, that we're going to be alive during that year. And lastly, in gaming news, Xbox's Winter Demo Event 2022 announced will feature 20 plus games. So this one I'm not going to dive in too much with because there's going to be a list of games that are here, and I want you guys to be able to dive into that, see what just suits your playstyle the best. But it does state here in the article that Xbox has announced today that ID at Xbox Winter Demo Event 2022 will be taking place from the 6th to the 12th, allowing you to check out a bunch of upcoming indie games. And this one will, instead of like being at the bottom with the articles, this will be at the very top list, so you guys can click on the article and check out which ones you guys want to get, because there are a lot of interesting ones here, like Rhythm Sprout, there's Thirsty Suitors, there's Tin Hearts, there's going to be a bunch of new games not only coming to here but to Xbox Game Pass, so be sure to stay on the look for that. But you guys, that was it for me for this episode of The Casual Nerd. If you guys like my face and what I do, please be sure to subscribe and hit that bell down below. I make videos every day here on YouTube. May you find your worth in the waking world, dear hunter. Stay casually nerdy. And oh, I almost forgot one more thing. One more thing before we go. Hold on one second. So I'm doing kind of a ballsy move with the channel. I want to provide as much quality content on here as possible, not only with these casual nerd episodes, but with other types of stuff like Soulsborne Academy and the reviews, which, by the way, Thymesia comes out this week on Wednesday. I'm very excited to see what you guys think of that review. But in addition to not only playing God of War Ragnarok on the channel, we're going to be having 3 other game playthroughs, which is the most I have ever done in the history of my channel ever. So I did a poll on Twitter and you guys did not hesitate. You guys were like all in. I asked you guys if you wanted a playthrough of the Callisto Protocol on my channel. You guys said yes. So we're playing Callisto Protocol on the channel. I'm going to be starting that after I finish God of War Ragnarok. That way, during that time, we can dive into Demon Souls as well. And The Devil in Me. So there's going to be in total 4 playthroughs that are going on simultaneously on the channel, and I'm very, very excited about this. So yeah, wish me luck, wish my sanity luck, and yeah, I forgot to mention that right before I ended off the video. But you guys, again, may you find your worth in the waking world, stay casually nerdy, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye, you guys.